allegations of wiretapping at Trump Tower, front and center in Washington this morning.
A House panel now investigating the president's claims against the Obama administration as Democrats double down on allegations of their own over Russia election collusion.
Griff Jenkins live in our nation's capital with reaction from both sides that is pouring in. Good morning, Griff.
Good morning, Heather and Clayton. Standing by his claim that former President Obama wiretapped his phones at Trump Tower, the president is calling on Congress to investigate. The claim came first on Saturday via Twitter, in the White House standing by the president's calls on Sunday.
I think he's made very clear what he believes, and he's asking that we get down to the bottom of this. I think the American people have a right to know if this happened, because if it did, again, this is the largest abuse of power that I think we've ever seen.
The president's allegation, offered without specific evidence, is rocking many in Washington, particularly in the intelligence community. FBI Director James Comey is urging the Justice Department to publicly reject the wiretap claim, challenging the president head on, and former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper denying any wrongdoing.
There was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign.
If the FBI, for instance, had a FISA court order of some sort for a surveillance, would that be information you would know or not know?
Yes.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists?
I can deny it.
And Democratic leaders like Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer reacting with outrage.
I don't know if any president, Democrat or Republican in the past, has done this. It shows this president doesn't know how to conduct himself.
Now, key members of Congress, like Senator Tom Cotton on the Intelligence Committee, say they will honor the request as part of the wider probe into Russia's involvement into the election. But sources over the weekend told Fox News that this claim and the tweet on Saturday caught even his own staff off guard and came without any consultation with senior law enforcement officials. So an interesting start to the week. Heather and Clayton.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Thanks, Griff.
Thank you. Interesting, for sure. Well, Democrats have been laser focused, meantime, on tying the Trump administration to Russia, and the White House is welcoming them to look. But counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, says that they should really be looking for the people leaking false information to the press, saying that they are the ones putting people at risk.
There are a couple things going on here. One is we know there were politically motivated stories and investigations all through the campaign season, and those come from credible news sources, and the president wants to get to the bottom of that. I mean, what is everybody afraid of? They want to investigate everything, even the attenuated stuff, and yet they're afraid of connecting here what the president has asked for, which is basically, if you're going to investigate, continue to investigate Russia, why not add to that an investigation of these allegations? And Janine, are we saying that there aren't leaks? I mean, the real issue here is one that House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes raised again today, which is leaks. These bureaucratic leaks are hurting all of us. These are national security intelligence leaks from people held over from another administration, and it has to stop. This is serious stuff.
And don't miss more from Kellyanne Conway when she joins Fox and Friends live at 7 a.m. Eastern.
Get some good answers there. All right, President Trump set to sign a brand new immigration order today as a brand new report shows a record number of cases clogging our immigration court system. Kelly Wright is here now with what we can expect in that new order. Good morning, Kelly.
Clayton, good morning to you as well. President Trump's revised executive order on immigration could be made available later today, just as you stated. The new plan will likely include some major changes. Fox News has learned that one of those major changes is that Iraq will be removed from the 7 countries on the no travel list. But the order will continue to bar people from 6 other Muslim majority countries. The original order was halted by the courts following a wave of legal challenges. And speaking of those courts, within the immigration courts itself, the system is overwhelmed with a great volume of cases. A record number of 500,000 cases are now pending. Trials involving immigrants who are not in trouble with the law could take take 2 to 5 years to resolve, creating a significant backlog. Take a look at this. 58 courts in 27 states. The judges work for the Justice Department's Executive Office for Immigration Review, not the judicial branch. Offenders have the right to an attorney, but the court is not required to provide one for free. Rulings can be appealed to the Board of Immigration Appeals. And it goes on. Board decisions can be appealed to a federal appeals court. Of 374 authorized immigration judge positions, 301 are filled. More than 534,000 pending cases, as I've stated. Meanwhile, President Trump still plans to build a wall along the southern border to deter illegal immigrants from gaining access or entry into this country. The president is facing stiff opposition from Democrats like Senator Chuck Schumer. The Senate Minority Leader says he plans to stop the wall from being built. He plans to block the funding by getting enough Democrat and Republican senators to vote against the funding for the wall to not meet that 60-vote threshold. Clayton and Heather?
Yeah.
All right. Kelly Wright live for us this morning. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, there's some work to be done. And now to a Fox News alert for you. The desperate search right now for an 11-year-old girl who vanished along with her armed survivalist father. Thomas and Caitlin Stofield have not been seen in months. The urgent manhunt intensifying after their truck was just found abandoned on the Warm Springs Indian Reservation. That's in Oregon. Well, the FBI believes that Stofield is armed with weapons and that he may be distraught. He does have custody of Caitlin, but authorities want to make sure that she's safe.
The hunt for a gunman at the center of a hate crime investigation intensifying at this hour. Police say the suspect told a Sikh man who is from India to go back to your own country before opening fire in a Seattle neighborhood. The gunman was wearing a mask that covered half of his face. The victim was shot in the arm, but is now back home recovering.
Well, North Korea intensifying its show of force overnight, firing several missiles provocatively close to Japan. The U.S. strongly condemning the launches, calling it a violation of UN Security Council resolutions. The brand new chilling intimidation tactic from the communist country coming just days after joint U.S.-South Korea military drills kicked off.
The United States beefing up our forces in the fight against ISIS. The Pentagon significantly increasing the number of special forces on the ground in Syria. The move meant to prepare for an all-out assault to retake the city of Raqqa from the terror group. The U.S. also supplying Syrian troops with more attack helicopters and artillery for that battle.
Well, Republicans and Democrats may still be at odds over the election, you think, but apparently there's one thing that they agree on, at least. Our country is losing its identity.
A new AP survey just out found that 71% say they no longer recognize the United States. 47% believe illegal immigration threatens the American way of life.
And the majority of people think that immigrants should adopt to our culture and our values.
Well, is Elvis heading to Washington, D.C.?
Walking through a party in the county jail. The prison band was there, they began to wail.
Well, the National Statuary Wall displays two statues representing each state in the Capitol building.
Right now, Jefferson Davis and Jay-Z George stand for Mississippi, which is the king of rock's state. But the governor is up for discussing swapping them out with an Elvis statue instead.
Ah, nice. Well, others being considered include the King of Blues, B.B. King, of course, and writer William Faulkner. Nice. Let us know who you think should be there.
Get your votes in this morning.
Well, the time now is 8 minutes after the top of the hour, and the intolerant left rears its ugly head where demonstrators are caught on camera destroying property belonging to Republican student groups.
New York Times, another well-known liberal outlet, intercepted Russian communications, part of inquiry into Trump. New York Times again. NSA gets more latitude to share intercepted communications.
Yeah, did you miss that this weekend? Well, the mainstream media gave President Trump all the evidence he needs of wiretapping. So why is the New York Times trashing its own reporters to deny it?
And from Russia with love, the Playboy model held at the airport accused of being a spy.
But first, here's a look at your forecast.
Those days are over. You don't have to sell your body to the night. Roxanne.
Hey, welcome back. An X-rated scandal rocking the United States Marine Corps. A bombshell investigation revealing a secret Facebook page sharing naked pictures of female Marines who had no idea they were even being photographed. More than 30,000 members, part of the group, not only posting the pictures, but also the full name, rank, and military station of the female recruits. The victims now said to be facing backlash, even death threats in response to the scandal. A full investigation now underway. So far, at least one defense contractor has been fired, accused of being the first person to share the photos.
Well, the New York Times is now trashing its own credibility in a report slamming President Trump over his tweets, accusing the Obama administration of wiretapping Trump Tower. Well, conservative radio host Mark Levin made the case for spying on his show Thursday. Well, and he appeared on Fox and Friends Sunday morning with that evidence that comes from the Times itself.
New York Times, another well-known liberal outlet, intercepted Russian communications, part of inquiry into Trump associates, January 19. Listen to this. One official said intelligence reports based on some of the wiretap communications have been provided to the White House. New York Times again. NSA gets more latitude to share intercepted communications in the final days of the Obama administration. Now, why would they do this on the way out the door?
Well, Levin is standing by his report, saying that the issue is not whether the Obama administration spied on the Trump campaign, but rather to what extent.
Well, the UC Berkeley student caught on camera trashing a pro-President Trump sign on campus, arrested for vandalism.
You just vandalized private property.
You just heard that student admitting to his crime as he was confronted by a member of the college Republicans. He's now facing a vandalism charge for stomping the sign in half. That outburst happening on the very same campus where riots erupted over an event with a conservative speaker.
Well, a college is sparking some controversy for paying students to learn more about this. Sam Houston State University in Texas is offering students a scholarship to take classes on Black Lives Matter and white privilege. Now, the honors program is worth up to nearly $3,000, also giving students access to sign up for early courses and a special computer center. The school says that it promotes community engagement.
Hey, now to a Fox Business Alert. It's been years in the making. Now a bill to repeal and replace Obamacare is finally coming this week.
Yeah, Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, here with those details for us. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Well, sources telling Fox News that top Republican lawmakers are set to release their plan to replace Obamacare sometime this week. According to one GOP aide, a meeting between Office of Management and Budget Director Mick Mulvaney tied up some loose ends, and then a conference call on Saturday between Mulvaney, House Speaker Paul Ryan, and Health and Human Service Secretary Tom Price on Saturday also held to close out any open issues before they do this big rollout. Price also appeared on CBS's Face the Nation on Sunday, saying the White House believes that Medicare should be guaranteed for senior citizens.
We believe in the guarantee of Medicare for our seniors. Within a 10-year period of time, we won't have the money in the Medicare program to be able to pay the benefits to seniors in this country that has been promised to them. We don't think that's appropriate. So we believe strongly in the guarantee of Medicare and make certain that it's a viable, financially secure program.
Well, he was responding to a question about Speaker Paul Ryan's recent comments that cuts to Medicare remain an open question. Now, President Trump had promised on the campaign trail not to cut Medicare and Social Security. Price also said it is the goal of the Trump administration for those that currently have coverage under Obamacare to keep that coverage, guys. Back to you.
All right, so that's also supposed to be happening this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot on the plate. All right, thanks, Carol.
Thank you. Well, to find the Fox Business Network, all you have to do is log on to foxbusiness.com/channel finder.
Well, the time is now 16 minutes after the hour, and too close for comfort. Brand new pat-downs coming to airport security near you. How the changes could impact your next flight.
And Barbara Streisand says that she is packing on the pounds, and who she is blaming? Yep, you guessed it, President Trump. Carly Shimkus explains all that and more in What's Trending. And for the national anthem, and social media loves it.
Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7. Sirius XM 115 is here with what's trending. Good morning, Carly.
Good morning. Yeah, U.S. soccer officials taking a drastically different position on this one than the NFL. If you remember, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell actually encouraged that protest, but U.S. soccer officials, like I said, sidelining it, announcing a new policy that will require players and coaches to stand respectfully during the national anthem. Now, this decision comes after player Megan Rapinoe followed in Colin Kaepernick's footsteps this past fall by taking a knee during the Star-Spangled Banner before a game. Soccer officials now saying not on their watch, and social media is lighting up with reaction. Noah Taylor tweeting, "As it should. If you want to protest the U.S., don't play for the U.S. soccer national team." The new policy does not specify the punishment for any player who decides to go against it, so we'll have to see how that unfolds. Hopefully, it doesn't unfold at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. Actually, I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Well, there's been a lot of people on Twitter that have been making fun of President Trump and his take on Obama wiretapping. Even Stephen King was making fun of it. Now there's a conservative reporter also.
Yeah, has a different take on things. Social media did erupt with reaction to President Trump's wiretapping claims this weekend. But one conservative reporter's hilarious take may be the most creative response out there. The lone conservative founder, Cassie Dillon, sending out a series of tweets mocking the whole situation, kicking things off with this photo of the president with the caption, "We're in business, boys." And then take a look at this photo of the president with the caption, "Can't tolerate any more Fox and Friends," as she says he's, I guess, listening to the president's phone conversations. Who would ever say that? And finally, this tweet captioned, "Wait a second, this has got to be broken. How many hats did they just order?" I want to know how long it took Miss Dillon to compile all of those photos with those very funny captions.
Yeah, there's some showing the president maybe hiding in the closet with scissors, like clipping.
Yeah. You knew that was going to happen almost immediately. Okay, so Barbra Streisand, she's blaming Trump for something totally different. She's gaining weight. It's his fault.
Yeah, she says the president is causing her to pack on the pounds. The singer took to Twitter writing, "Donald Trump is making me gain weight. I start the day with liquids, but after the morning news, I eat pancakes smothered in maple syrup." Well, that tweet causing a lot of people to do a double take. JC tweeting, blaming Trump on gaining weight. LOL, LOL, you're blaming him for everything else, so why not?
She's, I think, been gaining weight for a while.
I'll eat pancakes smothered in maple syrup, but not because anybody told me to, because I want to.
I'm going to remember that when it comes to holidays and I start packing on the pounds again. Trump.
Someone else. Blame someone else.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to eat those pancakes, you can maybe put strawberries on them, but they might not be red.
Exactly. So first there was the dress. Remember that white, gold, or blue or black dress thing from a couple years ago? Well, a new color illusion is dividing folks across social media again. So take a look at this photo of strawberries. Clayton, Heather, what color do you see in this picture?
Well, I think we know, I think we're preconditioned to know that strawberries are red, but they're probably in somebody's fluorescent kitchen.
Yeah, they kind of look like red strawberries in the dark.
Right. So in reality, this is so strange. Now, I see that the strawberries are red to me. Now, there is not a single red pixel in this picture whatsoever. Experts on visual perception, Clayton, kind of like what you said, describe the image as an example of our brain color correcting the world. So a lot of reaction is coming in on this one, as you can imagine. Jess tweeting, "Why don't the strawberries look red? To me, I think they look gray." So she sees them as gray. A lot of other people, though, they're seeing red. I'm seeing red. I don't know if we need more division on social media, though.
No,
that's the big takeaway.
If you took a black and white photo of strawberries, you would still say that the strawberries are red, right?
But I guess the question is, do you see red?
Well, I guess you don't see red.
Right. I see red.
Yeah.
That's why this is so important.
To be continued on this one,
I'm so glad we got to the bottom of it.
It is interesting, though. A little bit of science this morning. That might be our most important story of the morning.
Yes, thank you. I'm so glad I could provide it for you.
I'd rather talk about that than wiretapping.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, the time now is about 5 minutes until the top of the hour, and the mainstream demands answers to the president's wiretapping claims.
The President of the United States is accusing the former president of wiretapping him.
I think that this is, again, something that if this happened, Martha,
If.
So is there a case? Don't miss. We'll have a fair and balanced debate.
That was entertainment yesterday. And nightmare neighbors hitting a new level. The woman on a quest to take out a spying drone. And you'll never believe what she pulls out when the rocks don't work.
But first, on this day in history, way back in 1967, no drones then, but President Lyndon B. Johnson announced his plan to establish the draft.
And in 1982, the highest scoring NBA game took place. The San Antonio Spurs defeated the Milwaukee Bucks 171-166 in triple overtime at Trump Tower, front and center in Washington this morning.
Yeah, House panel now investigating the president's claims against the Obama administration as Democrats double down on allegations of their own over Russian election collusion.
Griff Jenkins live in our nation's capital with reaction pouring in from both sides. Good morning, Griff.
Good morning, Clayton and Heather. It is perhaps explosive, but the president is standing by those claims that former President Obama wiretapped his phones at Trump Tower. The president is calling on Congress to investigate. The White House defending those calls yesterday.
I think he's made very clear what he believes, and he's asking that we get down to the bottom of this. I think the American people have a right to know if this happened, because if it did, again, this is the largest abuse of power that I think we've ever seen.
The president's allegations, offered without specific evidence first on Saturday via Twitter, is rocking many in Washington, particularly in the intelligence community. FBI Director James Comey is urging the Justice Department to publicly reject the wiretap claim, and former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper denying any wrongdoing.
There was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign.
And President Obama's former press secretary, Josh Earnest, blasted the accusations, calling it outrageous.
There is one page in the Trump White House crisis management playbook, and that is simply to tweet or say something outrageous to distract from a scandal.
Democratic leaders like House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi also accusing President Trump of trying to change the subject.
The president, you know, is the deflector in chief. Anything to change the subject from where the heat is.
Now, key members of Congress say they will honor the request as a part of the wider probe into Russia's involvement in the election. But sources over the weekend told Fox News that the claim and tweet caught even his own staff off guard and came without any consultation with senior law enforcement officials. An interesting start to the week. We do not expect to hear from President Trump, but then again, he has surprised us in the past. We'll see what happens.
I'm sure his staff loves that.
Yeah.
Oh, President's tweeting. Thanks, Griff.
You.
Well, Counselor to the President, Kellyanne Conway, is calling out the mainstream media for its double standard when it comes to anonymous sources and all the negative reporting of the president.
If he knows, of course, he can issue a statement, and we know he's not shy. So the other question you asked, I just want to make the point too that we have a double standard here on anonymous sources. You know, the media are so quick to rely upon them for everything, including these leaks, any type of attenuated Russia connection. Anonymous sources, when it's negative and derogatory toward this president, if it's positive and exonerating, they don't want to hear about it. Somehow we need to have everything laid out, all types of evidence presented. The president made very clear, as did Sean Spicer, our press secretary, that we like this to be included in the president would like this to be included in the investigation, and that we'll have no further comment until that oversight is completed.
Well, let's talk about this. Do you think there is a double standard on facts from anonymous sources versus facts from the White House? Log on to Fox and Friends First, our Facebook page, right after the show for a live debate. Use that hashtag #KeepTalking.
Let's talk about some work that's going to get done this week. President Trump set to sign a brand new immigration order today as a record number of cases flood our immigration court system. Kelly Wright here now with what we can expect in the new order. Good morning.
Heather, good morning to you as well. So President Trump's revised executive order could be made available later today. Just as you've stated, it will likely include some major changes. Fox News has learned that one of those changes is taking Iraq off the no travel list. But the order will continue to bar people from 6 other Muslim-majority countries. Now, the original order, you may recall, was halted by the courts following a wave of legal challenges. And within the immigration courts, the system itself is overwhelmed. A record number of 500,000 cases are pending. Trials involving immigrants who are not in trouble with the law could take 2 to 5 years to resolve, creating a significant backlog. A lack of judges isn't helping either. As of now, only 301 of 374 positions are filled, and rulings can be appealed twice, creating even longer delays. Meanwhile, President Trump still plans to build a wall along the southern border. The plan is facing stiff resistance from Democrats like Senator Chuck Schumer. The Senate Minority Leader says he plans to stop the wall from getting built by getting enough Democrat and Republican voters to, senators rather, to vote against the funding for it. Heather and Clayton?
All right, Kelly Wright live for us this morning. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
Well, it's 35 minutes after the hour, and it's finally happened. Facebook unveiled its plan to fight fake news. So how will you know what's real?
You've been in Congress a little bit, and you're in leadership. Have you ever met with the Russian ambassador?
I'm not with this Russian ambassador, no.
Oh, really? Nancy Pelosi says that she never met him. So how does she explain this picture? The double down denial that you won't believe.
And was this Playboy model sent to the U.S. to spy on Americans? The bombshell claim being made this morning. Friends first. In this story now, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi says she never met the Russian ambassador.
You've been in Congress a little bit, and you're in leadership. Have you ever met with the Russian ambassador?
I'm not with this Russian ambassador, no.
Now, she's still denying they met, despite this picture of her sitting at a table sharing a meal with Sergei Kislyak. She insists he was part of the Russian president's entourage.
The question is, have you met with him? No, I haven't met with him. I met with the president of Russia. Who else is in his entourage? Who knows? Presidents, heads of state come in, they bring their party, they barely even introduce them. So this is completely different. I've been in rooms of a couple hundred people where he has been. I don't know if you call that a meeting with him.
Pelosi has been leading the charge against Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who came under fire for not disclosing his meeting with the Russian ambassador. Well, from Playboy model to undercover agent, Victoria Banya says she was detained at LAX because police thought she was a Russian spy. TSA agents found a business card for a company that makes hidden cameras in her luggage. Banya says she was asked about Vladimir Putin and the KGB. She was released after showing them her Instagram and Twitter accounts, which have millions of followers.
Well, the mainstream media is slamming President Trump over wiretapping claims.
The President of the United States is accusing the former president of wiretapping him.
I think that this is, again, something that if this happened, Martha,
It was jarring. President Trump accusing President Obama.
They haven't given any proof, but they have given Trump supporters a brand new talking point, that Trump's problems are really Obama's fault.
But much of the evidence came right from their own reporters. So here to weigh in, White House correspondent for the Washington Examiner, Gabby Morangiello, and Democratic strategist Richard Fowler. Thank you both for joining us very early this morning.
Thank you.
Gabby, I'll start with you. Is the mainstream media being fair?
Well, look, I think this is a very sensitive topic, and both sides right now, both the mainstream media and even right-leaning outlets, are relying a lot on anonymous sources to take a position on whether, in fact, the Obama administration did request a FISA warrant and eavesdrop on the Trump campaign and Trump associates. You have the New York Times, who reported back in January that intelligence was obtained through a wiretap, but again, that was based on what anonymous intelligence officials were telling New York Times reporters. And now you have anonymous intelligence officials telling, right-leaning outlets that it is true that the Obama administration did request a FISA warrant, that they obtained it, and that they were eavesdropping on the president's successor.
But Richard, I'll get you to respond to this as well, and then we'll get back to you, Gabby. Some of those journalism groups, the New York Times specifically, they seem to be questioning their own reporting.
Well, this is what you call just a trial of errors at best. And this has everything to do with the fact that Donald Trump has not been able to stop the leaks happening in his government. But to go to Donald Trump's tweet yesterday, which is what we're talking about here in particular, is that he's indicating that he was wiretapped by President Obama. Now, this is a lose-lose for Donald Trump, Heather, and here's why. Because if it is true that the president wiretapped him, that means the president had to get a FISA warrant, meaning he had to go to a judge and prove to a judge that there's probable cause to tap the president-elect, or at that time candidate Trump, meaning he was engaging in some sort of possible nefarious behavior that justified a warrantless, that justified a wiretap, right? So you either have he did something that justified a wiretap, or he's just straight making this up, which is insane for you to lie on the former president of the United States.
Well, let's listen to what Mark Levin had to say about that, the evidence, and has he laid it out. Let's listen to that.
Quote, The Guardian has learned the FBI applied for a warrant from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court over the summer in order to monitor 4 members of the Trump team. Washington Post, March 2nd. U.S. investigators have examined contacts Attorney General Sessions had with Russian officials during the time he was advising Donald Trump's campaign. New York Times. Flynn is said to have talked to Russians about sanctions Trump took office. Well, where'd they get this information?
And then let's take a look at what Ben Rhodes had to say via tweet, the exact opposite. He says that he's lying no matter what. 3 people with direct knowledge say this isn't he said, she said, or he said, she said. Obama did not order a wiretap. That is a fact. And then another tweet needs to be repeated. This is not he said, she said, he said, he said. It's truth lie. Obama didn't do what Trump said. Trump lied about it and offered no proof. Gabby, very specific with his wording there, though.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I think this is, in fact, a he said, she said situation. And that is why it's so important for the president himself, who right now is the only elected official who's, out there publicly claiming that the previous administration eavesdropped on his campaign associates, to actually provide evidence. Normally, I would say it is all right for both the mainstream media and right-leaning sources to communicate things based on what they're being told by anonymous intelligence officials. But with a matter that is so sensitive and so charged as this, I really do think that there needs to be the release of concrete evidence and further context.
But then if he releases that evidence, Richard, would that hurt the investigation? I mean, is it really fair to say that he can't say something without revealing his sources and his evidence, but yet the media constantly does that to him?
Well, here's the thing. He's the president of the United States. Everything this president says makes news, right? So when the president says something that he's wiretapped and we're talking about it on the news, right, this is what you call the definition of fake news. He traffics in it. This is exactly what it is.
But you don't know if that's fake news.
Because and that's why the president of the United States, if he's going to make such an allegation against the former president, needs to say, here is the proof that shows that I was indeed wiretapped by President Barack Obama.
But wouldn't the flow be he would give that evidence to the people that would do the investigation, and the people that do the investigation would then give it to us?
He could give it to the Intelligence Committee, but what he can't do is use 140 characters to perpetuate something that is astonishing and jaw-dropping and absolutely insane and crazy, which is why everybody's reacting the way that they are. Right. Because it is an insane claim to say that the former president of the United States wiretapped you, when we know that the only way a wiretap is possible is if there's probable cause of some sort of nefarious activity with another foreign government.
All right, well, we'll see what happens, because I'm sure that there will be more that happens today and this week on this. Gabby, Richard, thank you very much.
Thank you. Boy, let's check in with Steve Ducey to see what's coming up on Fox and Friends. I'm sure you'll have a jam-packed show as well. Steve, good morning.
Good morning to you, Clayton, and also to you, Heather. Cover of the New York Post says it all. What we were just talking about, Obama probe on tap. All these claims out there. Trump says he was wiretapped. Was he? Well, according to one news source, absolutely. There was surveillance. We're going to talk about that with the former NSA director, General Michael Hayden. He's got a brand new book out. Also, look at that. Kellyanne Conway, special advisor to the President of the United States, going to be here. Congressman Jason Chaffetz, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. He's got plenty to say about this, as does Tucker Carlson. And as if that's not enough, Clayton and Heather, today is National Oreo Day, and we will have so many Oreos on this set. We expect you to be up in Studio E promptly.
Save some for me.
Yes, going to have to head down there for that.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
You bet.
And we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Beware before you head to the airport because your next TSA screening could be a little close for comfort.
Oh, good. More pat downs. Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, is here with a look at the changes and how they'll impact your travel. Good morning, Cheryl.
How close would you like to get to your local TSA?